talk a little bit about the tools that I've either acquired or that I'm using to do this whole thing. So just the list is pretty basic that it gives. It's nice that it gives a list, but there's other things that are not on the list that I felt I needed as well. So my last video I talked about the table saw, which I have. I bought a brand new Bosch 4100 table saw. I just love it. That's all there is to it. So, but anyway, so the table saw, that's one. And from what I've seen, if you're going to do this, I didn't realize this until later. Mistake number one. You can actually, well, let me show you. You can actually use your circular saw to do these wood if you just can't. There's my skill saw right there. It's still tucked away. You can still use a circular saw, and there's pieces online that show you how to build up a rig so that the circular saw stays square to your wood. As long as you have a square side, basically build a brace against that square side and extend it as far as you need, and then butt the skill saw up to it. Pretty cool. I didn't see that until after I bought the table saw, but I love the table saw, so it's not going back. But if you can't buy a table saw, check it out. There's rigs to make the circular saw work. But so anyway, the table saw was my biggest expense, and when I just got maybe a month ago to get. So like I said, that was my big one. All right, so moving on to other tools that I'm using routinely every day with this whole thing. And I'll kind of show you why as I go. So the first thing I have that gets the most use, I think I'm with it more than I'm with my wife. Actually, I'm pretty sure I am. And that's my random orbital sander. Well, this is another thing I got in the past 6 months as I was preparing. It's a DeWalt. I guess it's a nice sander. It works great. No complaints. It's the big thing with this is you're going to do a crap load of sanding, so you're going to want to get a random orbital sander that you can easily change the discs on. See, I got spare ones in there. I pack some of them up against the wall, and then preferably something that captures the dust. Brand is up to you, but I would definitely get something with just the pad. You can tear these off and apply new ones, and then something that's collecting the dust as well, because you would not believe how much dust is created in this project. So anyway, that's probably my most used tool right there, is my random orbital sander. The next item I use is my router. Now this, like I mentioned in my other video, bought this early on. This is a 1/4 inch. It's a 1/4 inch bit. It's a Bosch, but this has been nice. I'm still learning how to use it. I've yet to use the Edge tool. This is pretty cool. I've yet to use that. And I mentioned I bought some Harbor Freight bits, and so here's the bits I bought from Harbor Freight. They seem to work all right. I mean, no complaints. I mean, so I'm not a huge. I don't know. I'm learning this crap, so they seem to work fine. I'm sure they're not quality. I'm sure they're going to fall apart and break and bust because it is Harbor Freight. But they were only like $20 for all these. So get what your money paid for. But get what you pay for. So there you go. As I mentioned, I did buy a new jig. This is the Jig Saw. I just got this in maybe 2 weeks ago, and I got it and I got some blades as well. So because I just got this because my Black & Decker burned up. This was just too much work for it, and it did the best it could, but it came to a point where there was smoke coming out the vents, and it wasn't cutting worth a damn, and so it was time to retire it. But it did good. I'm not knocking Black & Decker at all. It was a good tool. It lasted as long as it could, given that I bought it used, like I said, back in the 90s from a pawn shop. So these guys, Chisels, I actually use these quite a bit, which is, who knew? These came from Harbor Freight as well. So, but they've done all right so far. But I have a whole set of these. I have 5 of them. I just grabbed a couple of them right here. But they work. They work fine. I keep a file handy so I can file these sharp, because they do get dull pretty quick, especially with all the work. But they work great. No complaints. So I was mentioning earlier that you will not believe how much dust is accumulated. And here, let me just show you some stuff. So here is our generator, kind of covered in dust. Here's some seat pieces. Here's a plug. See, this is just dust is everywhere. It's on everything. And as you start sanding, it's all over it. As you start sanding, it just, look at my back of my, look at this. I can't even, I mean, everywhere. Now, and it's in the entire house. It's over on our water softener over there. It's on the fishing rods in the corner. It's everywhere. It floats in the air. And the amazing thing is, with all this dust, even with all this dust, this is one of my purchases I bought because I heard how bad it was with dust. Was a shop vac. This got this maybe 2 months ago. Wasn't really that expensive. Got it from Amazon. Even it's covered in dust. But I use this for everything. I use this for the table saw. I use it for the jig. For the sander works pretty well, all right. But then to clean up with, and even using this, and this does a great job keeping my workplace clean. You can see the dust is everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So get ready. Make sure you either wear a mask or you're well fumigated. Well, not fumigated, but well aerated. You can see. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But I would definitely, if you don't have a shop vac or an equivalent, I would definitely get one, because this thing is already about half full. I've only been using it for a little while, and I'll explain that in a minute. This thing, if it wasn't for this thing, I'd have to build a boat outside. That's pretty much the gist of it. So, but the last tool I wanted to talk about is down here. Is my sawhorses. I actually went to Harbor Freight. They were more expensive at Harbor Freight than Lowe's. So I went back to Lowe's and I bought them from Lowe's. I got 4 of them. And I think they're like $30 a set. So anyway, that's my basic tool set, other than the normal things like hammers and squares. Okay, a couple of things I forgot about these. So a couple of things I have. The square. I've had this forever. I don't know where this even came from. I've had this for so long. And then the one other thing I got was a Swanson quick square. So this has been really helpful as well, especially measuring. Well, I'll explain it later. But this has been really helpful too. And this cost $9, so it was cheap. So anyway, that's it.